Howdy folks, welcome back to FurnaceClans. I wanted to walk you through a couple of things that have been done in your absence. It is late winter at 7:57. One of the things we've done is we built our well in the middle of our hospital. You'll notice there's some dust that they've already started cleaning themselves off from. There's also some over here on my grating. And I believe this is what's been causing some illnesses. Both Sarvesh and Moses have taken a pretty bad beating from the dust and they've been vomiting and whatnot. There's also a ton of the dust that's poured down through the drainage ditch. None of it's gotten into the well, though, and it doesn't seem like the water's contaminated in any way, so I think we're safe there. All right. We've also built our forge. It's very small, very compact. We've got our smelter here, and we've got our Magma forge here. I'm running low on buckets. I need them for lye and soap making. Also, I'm going to need them for a bucket brigade so that I can fill a dwarven water reactor eventually. So, first things up, we're making some tin buckets just so I have enough buckets kicking around. One of the other things we found was we've got a decent adamantium spire right here. I could, in theory, go after it, just go after all these trailing pieces and get myself some adamantium. It might be a viable idea. I'd have to get above it. I'd have to start doing obsidian casting around it so I can get at it and things of that nature. But it may be a long-term project for what we want to do. I'll dig over there eventually and start thinking that through. In regards to the citizens of FurnaceClans, we have two new members, Shem and Onul. They're both infants. They were born last year in 757. This year in 757, earlier in the year. They're both males. And one of the things I have done is I usually try and keep my babies' numbers low. But I've increased child cap to 200, 500. So I should have 500% of the adults as children and or a maximum of 200 children. That should help out with our dwarven breeding program that we're going to be establishing here at this point. You'll notice all of my dwarves are pretty much very busy. That's due to our quarry. We've dug out a large chunk of gabbro, and everybody's trying to haul that up to our workshop areas. We needed to get some clothes going. While everybody is happy, we got the lowest happiness we have is 118 at this point, but I was getting a lot of old clothing complaints and things of that nature. So we hurried up and made some clothes. We stopped worrying about making sure it was dyed for a while. We've been very busy, so we haven't had a chance to take care of that. Another problem we had, well, I wouldn't call it a problem, but we had another liaison and caravan come in, and I still needed to memorialize them. So, while I have you here, and we'll make sure we have enough slabs. Also, we've had two more forgotten beasts come by. One was a titan, hit the surface, he was made of ice, he was shattered nearly instantly. He was basically pointless. Down in Cavern 1, Bokash here has pretty much moved in right next door to my outer walls. He flies, so I'm really glad that I built this too high. And, well, he's just going to hang out there for a while. He can escape. He can get over into the water here, go underneath. Pardon me. He can go underneath there. Then he can come up here. Once he comes up here, he's able to get into this area, which would then ruin me if I tried to use up this area, if I drop this bridge. So right now I'm kind of wishing I had walled off this section here just to keep him trapped out, but I didn't, so we're going to be short on trees for a while. Getting more wood tends to be a little difficult. While I'm down here, we'll set up a little bit of tree cutting. Up here on our farming level, everything's still pretty much status quo. We aren't doing much up here. Weird. There we go. And we have not begun digging out our trap at all. So that's where we're at. The next step I'm going to be doing is down near the magma forges. I'm going to build off, say, 4 or 5 iron mine carts. We're going to create a magma flow so that I can put the carts into it, and we'll have some rollers push the carts out. From there, I'll bring them up so I can move the magma forge upstairs. Once I've done that, then I'll start working on the full plan for the trap that we're going to use for the undead, and building out the minecart lift to bring magma to that system. So we've got a couple of things going on, and I will bring you back once I get a couple more things settled out. Right now we've just got mostly a logistics issue of trying to get goods moved. So once we catch up with that is when I'm going to start planning the next area. I wanted to show you that we have passed into the Age of Legends. Spring just hit, obviously. It is 7:58, first of granite. We arrived in 7:52, so this is the beginning of the 6th year for FurnaceClans on the single pick challenge. A couple of things have occurred. One thing of interest is my dwarves are cleaning off the local area of dust, so that is eventually going away. So that's helping out. We've built out a couple of slabs for our merchants who had died off when they came by. I noticed we had a ghost kicking around. We're up to 115 undead now on the surface. We had let's doesn't go back far enough. We had a 5 ambush attack and an undead siege hit simultaneously. So a lot of goblins got fed into the grinder on me. They're out there. So we're definitely slowly but surely increasing the amount of undead I'll be fighting against. Also, down here in the forge, we've created most of our buckets. I've started generating some iron minecarts and iron chains. I haven't started the next drill pattern yet because I cannot get an idle dwarf for the life of me. And I really got to get these clothes stocks cleaned up. I'm worried about not having enough clothing on hand, so I want to get our pigtails cleaned up, turn them into threads. I want those turned into cloth. I want to get them dyed, and I want to create a full set of clothing for everybody. And in the meanwhile, we're still storing all of that stone from the quarry. So I'm still just letting that happen. So I'll bring it back when something else interesting goes on. So I started laying out the magma cart filler. I'm starting to get impatient to get the magma forges upstairs where they're more usable and it's not this long run down to do anything, because I'm finding there's a lot of things I want to get made and I really want to get this upstairs as quickly as possible. So what we've done here is I've got a very basic layout for a very simple setup for a magma cart filler, and we'll use this system later when we're going to start bringing the magma up to the trap as well. So what I've done is this is going to be our magma fill channel right here. This is where our gear will go. I'm going to put in a roller at highest energy here, which will push the cart back out of the magma, and we'll pick it up here. This is a layout for a one-wheel dwarven water reactor. I always use an extra block here just so I can grade it over, so we don't end up with water spill, and it'll help make sure that I don't end up with an obsidian farm in here, because that would just be a mess. Down below here, you'll notice I have one extra dig point here. That is so I have a 2-block area here that I can smooth and fortify to make sure that the local fire ants and stuff like that don't get into the magma loader. Once we've dug all of this out and we fortified this, I'll floor this one over. I'll channel this point, which will open us to the magma sea, and then we'll floor that over, and that will allow things into here. But first I got to get the rollers built and the gears attached. Now, where is all this going to go? Here I've dug out 4 channel pits. This is for the forge. This will be for the smelter, This will be for the glass furnace, and this will be for the kiln, just in case I eventually want them. Here, I have a stockpile for minecarts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a minecart to the route. It will go through it will get dragged down, pushed, pop through the magma, pop back up, and then I'll unassign it from the route, and it'll get dragged back up here. Once that's done, I'll have a single stop route on each of these that I will then assign the minecart to. It'll get dragged over, dump its magma, be empty, and then rinse and repeat process. I have 4 iron minecarts currently being made, so as they get pushed through, we'll get that taken care of. We have most of our tin buckets made. I also made a couple of tin wheelbarrows, just so hopefully they can help out with the gabbro loading. We're expanding our dining room a little bit, just because there were some complaints about not enough tables and chairs, so we're going to expand that out a bit. And other than that, we're just going to keep waiting and letting things get cleaned up and figured out. So I'll bring you back when something else comes up. It's now the 1st of summer of 758, our 6th year in FurnaceClans. Short update on what's been going on. We've been having some trouble keeping our cloth still long enough so that we can dye it. So I keep having to switch back and forth between using dyed cloth and non-dyed cloth while Wool Monkey finishes making up some trousers, shirts, and shoes for everybody. We're finally getting some form of stockpile of clothing, so that's helpful. In the meanwhile, down here at the forge, we've dug portions of it out, but my miner has the most distracted dwarf I've ever met. Right now he's making mechanisms. He comes down, digs out 5 things, grabs a rock, and brings it up. It's kind of wild to watch. I've turned off all of his hauling labors. That should help. I'm going to let him finish making the mechanisms because we do need some gabbro mechanisms. Upstairs, I've actually attached my gabbro stockpile to give to the mechanics workshop so that I will get some magma-proof mechanisms. We're going to need them anyway, so it's a 50-50 as to which we do. Down here for the dwarven water reactor, though, I was looking, and if I come up here to the caverns, there's an area I can use if I get impatient and I want to use cavern water to fill that structure up. Take a little tweaking to make sure that I angle in the water so I have pressure, a lack of pressure, so I don't flood out the area. But it's an option if I find the bucket brigade is going too slow, so that will help. Other than that, we've got 120 critters out there. We've got some crundles. There's another flying forgotten beast here. He's got noxious secretions. Tempted to try and bring him upstairs and pillbox him. We've got a cave crocodile up on cavern 1, along with Bocash, who is vampiric. So neither of these forgotten beasts are overly useful to me. No real reason to try and trap them. So we're looking at about 110 undead on the surface and another 4 that are in the pit, the hair and skin from earlier butcherings, and another 6 wandering around through the systems. So that's us on the 1st of summer. We are slowly but surely cleaning out our gabbro quarry. It's taking its sweet time, but we're getting there. And other than that, we're just digging away. So I'll bring you back when something curious comes up. Hey guys, welcome back. It's now 1st of fall. Not a heck of a lot has changed. We did finally catch up on all of our clothes making, so everybody should be set for clothes for a while. That's at least one thing down and out. Still have plenty of stocks. Now, we've dug out most of the area downstairs. I'm building an overhead run for our power train from the dwarven water reactor so I can put a grate here so I don't have any problems. We've almost filled up the ponds. It took us most of the summer to try and fill that up. I probably would have spent just as much time trying to get in and out of the caverns to get the water down, but at least then it would have been an automated system. But in the end, this works out. I'm having an interesting curiosity. I was trying to build the rollers early, and it's very curious. As long as it's a flat floor, it's good to go. Once you expand it up onto ramps, it's telling me it needs ground. So apparently I'm going to have to hang it off the gear that's going to go in there first. So we'll get there, but I need these ramps so that I can get the carts in and out. I'm going to see what happens once they're engraved and see if that makes a difference once they're engraved with track. We finished up our 2 fortifications here. We we floored over that entrance. So we're just going to wait for this all to get carved out, built up, and then we'll start bringing the magma in. And we've gotten most of our trees chopped down. It's just taken a while. Almost everybody was on fill pond duty or carry bucket back up duty. And that's 150 steps roughly all the way down there. Our farms have been suffering pretty badly. We've barely been getting them half planted in the seasons that they were there for. So I've been overusing my dwarfs too much apparently. We haven't been able to keep up on the farming. That's okay. It's not like I really need more plants anyway. So that's where we're at. We're just still trying to take care of everything down here. We've constructed everything I intended to construct out of the lower forges. We've got some buckets, some iron mine carts, a few tin wheelbarrows. I'm getting ready to disassemble these. I just haven't, just in case I need 1 or 2 more things that I didn't think about. Actually, there is 1 or 2 more things I didn't think about. As long as it's down there, we're going to, pardon me, it's under furniture. I'll make a few more iron chains. I already have 1 for the rollers and some gabbro mechanisms, so I'm good there. So other than that, we'll eventually be putting in the dwarven water reactor here. We'll run the power train, get the rollers working, make sure everything's happy, and we'll go from there. So I'll bring you back once that gets closer to being done. Well, keeping up with my seasonal updates, it's now the 1st of winter, 7:58. I'm actually not in my 6th year, I found out. I'm in my 5th. I did a little engraving over at the dining area, and the aqua key is our parent sieve, and we found it in 753, so that's nice to know. Something else of interest, I found out what the symbol of our civilization is. It's a wereskunk. A very interesting choice. So other things that have happened, I've created a burrow here in the housing and food area, and our 2 dwarven babies have grown up to be dwarven children, and I've assigned them to it just to try and keep them out of trouble. We'll see how well that works out. Downstairs, we've almost completed preparations to drop the magma in. I'm testing out a lever now, which will remove this gear. Our dwarven water reactor is prepped. It's mostly full. I've got a grate here. We're going to build a wall just to help keep the water trapped inside this area so it falls back into the pit. And we have another baby. Excellent. Moses is now a mother, and it's a girl, so that will help for later. Off she goes to seek her infant. Our minecart is here. It's prepped to go downstairs. We have rollers in place, theoretically from west to east, and a gabbro gear. So once we test out this gear, I'm going to fire up the dwarven water reactor. Okay, it's hanging and it's disengaged. Excellent. So we're going to re-pull that lever to hook it back up. Now I'll show you how I set up this power train. Dwarven water reactor's here. Here's a gear. Now we go up 1 level. I've got a gear, a axle, and 2 more gears going down to here. The reason for this is because I wanted to be able to put a grate here to trap any water escape. And I could not remember if I could or couldn't build on top of that. I believe I could have built an axle, but just in case of magma spray, I don't want a wooden axle near this and have it burning up and stuff like that. I've got enough problems with my wood supply. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire up the reactor and make sure we got enough power. So I will bring you back once that fires up. And here comes Juxtaposed to fire up our system. There goes the reactor. Let's take a look at our power supplies. We have a total power of 100 off a single wheel reactor. We only need 59 to power this setup. And our rollers almost look like they're going backwards. Well, I'm going to find out. I've set up a route. I'm going to have that push south. I'm going to find out which direction that thing thinks it's going. That should have been set up west to east. Now, did I misclick? Well, that's why we do dry runs. I also still have the pond spaces set up here, so they should be filling it up just a little extra. And we're just waiting on that vehicle to push. He's got a long walk, so I will bring you back in a second. Now here's our vehicle pusher. He's coming up. Oh, I should mention I did some traffic area sets where this is all restricted, and then I high costed around it. The reason for that is because even with restriction, they were trying to go back in and out through this area. Like so. Well, the minecart got over here. Okay, we're going to have to single that. He's going to guide that over there. And he's going to pick it up, bring it over. And I'm going to single step this here in a moment. Okay, one goes down another. Oh, let's go in the right direction. I'm not entirely sure why it's getting stuck in the gear, though. We're going to have to alter our design a bit. So we'll pull that lever. We're going to modify the route so that they don't keep pushing it. Let him go down there and get that. Okay, we shut off the rollers. It's very interesting. I'm not sure why it's getting slid over there. If we take a look at our track, it's an east-west upward track. It should be going right to there. So we're going to have to do a little modification. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this gear. Actually, we're going to remove that gear. We're going to build a wall into that position. Up here, we're going to build another gear out of gabbro. We're going to channel underneath that. We're going to basically move the gear one spot to the left. Let this continue to push and see if that fixes our problem after we build a wall into this position. So I will bring you back when that's done. So that seems to have taken care of the problem. We've simply moved our gear over by one step, and we're able to push out to our stop. So our next bit, first I'm going to check to see if we got anything in the flames. Fire imps, magma crabs, anything like that, just to make sure I don't screw up and let something in that I can't handle. Doesn't look that way. Alright, so next we dig a channel. And Edge is drinking, so I will bring you back once he gets down here. So Edge has gotten down here. He's going to channel into the lava. There we go. Do we see anything new? No, we don't. We struck morganite and cassiterite through that. So apparently we saw some more out there. This is our fortifications. It's going to pour over our rollers. And what we're going to do next is we're going to build a floor right over that hole. And I'm going to use gabbro blocks just for consistency. So we get lava flowing in. Everything looks good. We're going to let that fill. Moses is coming down to build our flooring. Our guys have been throwing parties left, right, and center. This is the second one. Last one was about a month long. And while we wait for that to build, what I wanted to show you was something else. I created a bunch of plant stockpiles just right off of the fields. These are actually linked to the main stockpiles with barrels. These don't have any. This is hopefully to speed up food gathering off the farms and just make things a little more efficient for them rather than traveling up and down with the barrels and whatnot. There are two of them that are direct linked, which are the quarry bushes and the pigtails, and the storage for them is underneath the plant processing item. And those are set to take from links only, so nobody will ever run up here for pigtails and quarry bushes. They'll all be dropped off to these stockpiles and then brought back down. I don't believe we've built our floor yet. We haven't. But the other thing we can do, oops, I also want to alter that and not have it brought back to the beginning again. So we're going to test if we can get some lava into the cart. Somebody should be coming. Yep. So that's going to floor over, and when our cart pusher gets here, I'll bring you back. So our cart pusher has arrived, and we're just going to watch how he does this cart in one step, just to make sure everything works right. So it drops down. It's in the magma. At this point, it should be filled. And it's not showing that it's filled with magma yet. Okay, just popped out of the magma. It did not fill. That's curious. So we're going to let it finish filling and not have to flow. I'm going to give it a new depart condition to be sent back to the head of the line. I'm going to let that get there. Okay, looks like we're all 7s now, so we're going to see if it fills this time. It's not filling. I don't know why. There is no reason this cart should not be filling with magma. That track stop is not set to dump. If it was set to dump, we'd have lava all over the place. It's not filling when it's down below. And I don't know why. Well, I'm going to have to get back to you on this. Well, it appears that the problem is actually the rollers. I'm not entirely sure why. When I shut off the rollers and I drop the cart down, I can get magma into it. Now, in theory, I should be able to pull the lever and pop the thing back out. This may be because I've got the rollers across the entire length of the pit. So what I'm thinking I may need to do for the future one, where I'm going to try and automate multiple minecarts into the system to bring it up to fill the trap, I'm going to have to leave one or two of these track areas demagmaed. Also, apparently it's not permaflow, it's 6-7 flow. This is constantly flowing over here. I'm hoping it refills soon, because right now it's kicking my FPS's butt, and I'm a little concerned about it. So once we flip the rollers back on, somebody out there should be pulling the lever. Oh, he's all the way upstairs. One of the problems with working with this all the way downstairs when nobody else is down here. So we're just going to wait for him to get down here. I'll show you how long this walk is. Well, actually, he's covered most of it already. Now this should kick our minecart out. There it is. It still has magma. Excellent. So we're going to remove that condition. So for this process, we're going to need to swap our vehicles around, bring them upstairs, and we'll be able to fill in our pits. And to use this loader, apparently I'm going to have to turn the rollers on and off for it. Well, we'll get there. So I will show you how this works. We're going to go in here. We're going to assign a different minecart to the process. This one should get dragged upstairs to the stockpile. We're going to reshut off our lever. So somebody's going to be placing a track vehicle, and someone should be storing the other one in the stockpile. Okay, that's the new minecart. Not sure why someone thinks they're going to push that. Is this the... Yep. So they should be dragging stuff in and out, and I will bring you back in as soon as we get to that point. So here we go. What was supposed to happen is now finally happening. He apparently got jammed up on the push track vehicle and it locked the item into the job. Now that our iron minecart is set, we have Juxtapose here doing a store item and stockpile for the iron minecart. That'll bring it upstairs. So now we're upstairs. I've got 4 minecarts with Magma in them. So now we're ready to start filling in one of our forge divots, and I'm going to work with the one on the left first. This took some time to get done. We are now in mid-spring, 7:59, but it did work. Part of the problem was having to go back down and up and keep swapping the lever back and forth. When I build, I'm going to have to build another magma loader, and I'm going to have to be more careful about it and make sure it's a drainable system, just in case we need to do maintenance or something like that in the future. So when I design that out, I'm going to design it with a magma drain to world edge, as well as shutoffs from the primary area. So I'll have to put in some magma-proof floodgates and stuff like that. But the part you're interested in is this. So we're going to create a new route. We're going to call this Forge Magma Load. It's going to have a single stop on it. We're going to go in here, we're going to remove all conditions, because we don't care. We're going to assign it one of our magma-filled minecarts. The reason for this is because I've already got a track stop directly underneath it to dump into this divot. So somebody will come along, grab our minecart, drag it on over. Let me make sure they do not accidentally walk across that one. As soon as he puts the cart there, we have a 2-high magma pit. It's that simple. It takes a while. It takes some dwarf power, but it is relatively simple to do. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to swap which minecart is assigned to that. Somebody else should get the next haul. Here it goes. And there we go. Dumps 2 in. We're now 4 high. One more time. And that's all there is to it. We now have a 6 high magma divot. We can load up the next one. I'm going to send one of the minecarts I emptied back down to our system. I do need to shut that lever back off. We're going to unassign a vehicle to this, none. We're also going to just simply remove the route. We're going to remove our track stop, and then I'm going to be able to put a magma forge right here up in the main area. So That's all there is to it. We haven't done much else in the meanwhile. We've been waiting on this to complete and a couple of other things just to get moved around. We brought in some wood, we made some more bins. We have brewed out almost all of our plant stock. We're just collecting up some more sweet pods and quarry bushes now, but we had gone through all of it. I decided we were going to go make a whole bunch more in booze than we have. So we've got plenty of wine, and we're looking at ale. I want to get some more beer and rum going. But other than that, we're pretty much good. From here, I'm going to fill in the next one for the Magma smelter, and then I'll show you where I'm looking to do upstairs. This layer is clay. I've dug out a 3-wide area, but I've left the center there. It's because that's an aquifer layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do pretty much the same thing you just saw me do with the Magma forge, but I'm going to obsidianize a hole around this center piece. Then I'm going to dig that out, and then I'm going to fill that with magma for the magma kiln. And upstairs here, I've dug out a small area just inside this little pocket where I can fill it for the glass furnace right up in the sand layer here. So we'll have our supplies right there. So that should ease some construction there and a whole bunch of hauling that we just really don't have the dwarf power to handle. I'm hoping to eventually care about that stuff. Right now, we really don't. The next objective I'm going to have after I complete these couple of pieces is to drill out another minecart magma filler, set it up with some safety valves so that I can drain it if something goes wrong and I can remake it. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to drive the upward shaft for the impulse elevator to bring magma up. And I'm also going to start planning out the trap structure that I'm going to want before I open up to the surface. Because this is now year 6, and we didn't get any migrants this year. And that's really starting to hurt us. I'd really like to start getting some more migrants in here, be able to get some basically spare dwarves. But we're going to have to clean off the undead on the surface, who are now up to, I'd say, 130, 135, somewhere in that range. A couple more ambushes came in, they've added to their numbers. So it's a mess. Until you come back, have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching.